AAA gaming seems to get worse every generation. I remember the horse armor for The Elder Scrolls IV Oblivion, and every game coming along with a season pass during the 360 and PS3 era. Now we seem to be moving to games launching unfinished or completely broken, such as Battlefield 2042 or Cyberpunk 2077. While Cyberpunk may be in a better place than it was at launch, it started a trend that we need to come back from. Hi, I'm Mason, and let's talk about one of my most disappointing games, the Callisto Protocol. On the list of games I was most hyped for in 2022, the Callisto Protocol was at the top. It was revealed back in 2019, 2 years before the Dead Space remake was announced. As soon as I watched the reveal trailer, I was aboard the hype train the second it entered the station. Maybe it was the lack of survival horror games in the AAA space outside of Resident Evil, or the lack of Dead Space for roughly a decade. Callisto seemed to be everything I wanted in a video game. Unfortunately, it was too good to be true.
This is Black Irons to transport ship Charon. You are cleared for landing.
The Callisto Protocol misses the mark on a macro and a micro level. Instead of a masterfully crafted, innovative spiritual successor to Dead Space, we ended up with something that I would call a great value knockoff. Callisto has everything Dead Space has to offer. On the surface level, both are survival horror games set in a gritty science fiction universe. Both use the in-game world to display your HUD, and both offer you the chance to stomp on your enemies' heads.
What the fuck was that?
I do want to start this review on a positive note. Callisto is one of the best looking games I've seen to this day. The developers set the bar high, creating a horrifically rich atmosphere within the Black Iron prison. The levels are varied enough that I was always looking forward to seeing where the game would take me next. Whether it's the environmental zone, or outside in the snowy tundra where the snow sticks to your armor. There are a lot of small graphical effects that really bring the world to life, like blood spatter after killing an enemy, or sweat dripping off your character's face. It's safe to say that Callisto will be a graphical benchmark for me for years to come. The Callisto Protocol follows a pilot named Jacob. Jacob is delivering what he believes to be medical supplies to the Black Iron prison located on the moon Callisto, when he and his co-pilot Max are attacked by a purported terrorist group called the Outer Way.
The Outer Way? Yeah, I'm guessing.
Jacob's ship is damaged by the Outer Way attack, leading it to crash onto Callisto. Max is killed in the process, leaving Jacob and the Outer Way leader, Danny, the only survivors.
Oh, I didn't listen.
They're both seemingly rescued by Black Iron's head of security, Leon Ferris. However, both are arrested and taken into the prison. After being lightly experimented on, Jacob is thrown into a cell without trial, under the orders of the warden, Cole. As Jacob awakens, the prison is under attack by a zombie virus called the biophage. Jacob teams up with a longtime prisoner, Elias Porter, to escape Black Iron and hopefully survive the biophage.
Well, look. You're that pilot they just brought in, yeah? Yeah, well, look, I've been in here half my life. I know this place. I've got a plan to get out. If you help me out of this cell, I'll help you.
I don't really hate the narrative, or the characters for that matter. However, there is nothing fascinating about either. Everything is terribly bland, with one-dimensional characters and dialogue that sounds like I've heard a million times before.
See you again.
Oh yeah, what's that? Huh? You left me out there to die?
And you tried to kill me back on your ship. Guess that makes us even.
Look, I don't know if you noticed, but things have kind of gone to shit out there. Hey, you don't have to like
One
me
thing
now,
that is interesting is that Callisto was originally set in the PUBG universe. What the f? Yes, Callisto was meant to be connected to PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, the janky indie game that caused the Battle Royale craze back in 2017. A connection was dropped during development, but that connection was actually the reason the Callisto Protocol was made in the first place. Krafton was still called PUBG Studios at the time, but they brought in Glenn Schofield to create a narrative-driven game to expand the PUBG universe. Okay, I have a soft spot for PUBG. It's a guilty pleasure I still enjoy playing to this day. As stupid as this may seem, I believe dropping this connection actually hurt the story of Callisto. There are still references to the game, and moments that seem out of place without the PUBG context. If you don't want spoilers, you can skip this. Warden Cole is interested in Jacob for some reason. It goes unexplained the entire game. Ferris himself even questions Jacob as to why he's so special.
Look at me when I'm talking to you. What'd you do? Huh? You can tell me. Are you different? Are you special? Why'd the warden? Why'd you lie?
At the end of the game, the warden is having a meeting with a secret evil organization called the Circle. I could be reaching with this one, but the Circle is a well-established game mechanic in the Battle Royale genre. It could be a reference. As the Circle realizes Jacob is in the room, they chant Vir Solitarius over and over again in reference to Jacob. This phrase is Latin for the lone survivor. This is the most obvious reference to PUBG. You can even find this phrase on the PUBG website. The Circle seems to be the ones behind researching the biophage and finding the alpha subject. However, it was the warden's idea to release it upon the prison for no reason than to maybe possibly create an alpha subject. Yes, he did create the alpha with Ferris, but this was completely random. Why let a virus loose in your prison, set your robots to kill, just hope that you get your alpha?
And what about you, huh? Watching people die for fun, is that your protocol?
No. You are mistaken, Mr. Lee. Protocol isn't about death. It's about life.
Without the PUBG connection, the Circle goes back to finding the alpha, which they have with Ferris. A cut feature may also tie in with the Battle Royale theme, and that is the evolving virus. The biophage was originally meant to mutate and change their strategies in order to fight against you. This feature was completely abandoned in the final game, but it makes sense thematically with PUBG, a self-correcting virus that learns about its prey in a controlled environment in order to dwindle the numbers down until you get your lone survivor. The most concrete reference to PUBG is something Dr. Mahler mentions, the Paramo effect. Paramo is a playable map in PUBG.
If we could understand the disease.
Without PUBG and the Battle Royale thematics, Callisto is filled with plot holes and inconsistencies that hinder an already forgettable story. If they would have committed to the PUBG universe, the biophage wouldn't have been the warden's random attempt to find an alpha, but to bring chaos in a prison filled with the galaxy's worst criminals. It's the Circle's entertainment, like a sadistic, Darwinistic survival game show.
Something's not right.
The biggest issue I have with Callisto is the melee-focused combat. I can give Striking Distance credit for attempting to go this route, because I love the idea of forcing the player to get up close and personal with a zombie. The first few encounters are scary knowing you have to get right in front of an infected face. But that fear withers away once you realize you can just hold the analog stick left or right and dodge every attack coming towards you. This even works on the few boss fights in the game. Each encounter boils down to you dodging and waiting for the enemy to finish their combo. If you try to attack while the opponent is attacking, you're going to get hurt. It's like Callisto punishes you for not allowing the enemy to finish their move. It gets worse when you have to fight multiple enemies at once. Callisto only allows you to fight one enemy at a time, which becomes a slog because you have to follow the same dodge, wait, attack, repeat scenario on however many enemies are in the room with you. The camera is also designed around fighting one enemy. The field of view is severely low, and it only allows you to focus on whatever is directly in front of you, and it leaves you blind from whatever enemy could lurk to your sides or come from behind. Eventually, you will find some firearms, and a grip model that allows you to toss enemies like Kinesis and Dead Space. The guns aren't anything special. You have your basic sidearm, a mini-sized and standard shotgun, and eventually you'll find an assault rifle. The shooting is fine in Callisto, but ammo is so scarce that you're forced to go back to using the melee. You can upgrade your weapons by finding 3D printers hanging around the station, just like the shops in Dead Space. Guns can be upgraded to have an alternate firing mode, the baton can have better damage, as well as extensions on how long grip can last. The Callisto Protocol has yet to meet its sales predictions, even after Krafton had lowered them from 5 million to 2 million, meaning we probably won't see a sequel anytime soon. It's a shame because there is a good game buried somewhere within Callisto, warts and all. The final product looks more like a next-gen tech demo with its jaw-dropping graphics. It's like the budget went to the Hollywood actors and the graphics development, only for them to forget they had to make a game. I would have been more forgiving if this game were from an indie developer, but this game comes from a AAA studio filled with veterans in the industry, and with the $70 price point, I can't recommend Callisto Protocol. It doesn't help that Dead Space comes out a month after Callisto and will more than likely be the better game. If you're looking for something to scratch that itch, wait for the real thing and buy Dead Space. Thank you so much for watching. This was a tough video to make because I really wanted to like the Callisto Protocol, and I hate being unable to find something nice to say about someone's work. If you want to see more reviews, or just hang out with a group of friends that simply enjoy talking about games, subscribe. As always, this is Amateur Game Review. I'll talk to you guys later.